Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Podiatry Business Podcast with myself, Lorcan O Donaile. In case you don't know, we provide two services. The first is our business coaching service, which you find the details of at morepracticeprofits.com. And the second is our podiatry marketing service at podiatrypatientsontap.com. We're now publishing this both on YouTube, on our website, and also on any major podcast providers. So let's get on with it. So the reason you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast on YouTube is because you want something different, something better for your business and for your life. I'm assuming that if everything is going exactly as you want, you're probably not searching for a solution which we possibly could provide for you. Now, when I started my clinic, and I initially thought that really what I needed to do was I needed to be really good clinically, and that was all I would have to do to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But after a while, I realized that being really good clinically was not enough, and I'm going to have to change things. And I started to focus on building a business. I put as much time into the CPD of my business as I had done into my clinical skills. Now, I'm not saying clinical skills aren't important. They are vital. Of course they are. But you also need to know how to run a business and to make it successful. So when I realized that, what I did is I had to set a goal. And my initial goal, or my idea of what success would be for me, was that I would not be stressed out about money all of the time. Because at that time, what would happen is I would quite commonly pay the staff and not have any money left to pay myself. Or I would have to go in on a Monday morning and make some money to pay the staff. And that was really stressful, and I did not like that lifestyle. So I wanted to get my business to a point where that was not the case. My next goal, or my next idea of success, once that was fixed, was that I would be able to buy my own house. Which I did, and then my next goal after that was that I could get off the tools if I wanted to. So to get myself to the point where if I didn't need to treat patients, that was okay, or if I didn't want to treat patients, that the business would survive and carry on and be profitable. And I'm now in that enviable position, I feel, where it's up to me whether I go and treat patients or not. And my patients are still treated, my business is still profitable, and it all runs really well. And I have a great team who are treating my patients for me. However, in each instance, I knew what I wanted. I knew what success looked like for me. Now, when I started to help other podiatry clinic owners, I quickly realized that they didn't know that. They just knew that they weren't happy with the position that they were in, with the life that the business had put them in, I suppose. And I initially thought that in a lot of cases what would happen is that the clinic owner would want to have something very similar to myself, a very similar lifestyle. But one of the first clients I ever dealt with was a lady who loved treating patients. She never wanted to stop treating patients. She wanted to work a 4-day week, full days, wanted to make a certain amount of money and have maybe 2 or 3 staff. And it was a smaller business. It was a smaller goal than I had. But it made me realize that my version of success was not going to be the same as everybody else's version of success. And my version of success was not going to be the same as the future clients that I was going to help, podiatry clinic owners I was going to help. And that's cool. Some have bigger aspirations or want a bigger business, some want a smaller business. So just in this past month, I have started working with a podiatry clinic owner who only treats 2 types of conditions, 2 high-ticket conditions. That's all this podiatry clinic owner does and doesn't do anymore. This clinic owner doesn't want to work any more than 3 short days, which is fine, and this clinic owner wants to make a certain target income, which is fine. And that's very different from my business, where I have 6 clinical staff, I have an admin team, we treat everything, and we're open long hours, etc., etc. And my job is to help that clinic owner to achieve that idea of success for her, which we will do. Likewise, I have two other clinic owners, podiatry clinic owners that I work with, who are now about to open their third clinic, having when they joined me, having had just one clinic with just themselves. And having three clinics means multiple staff, more complexity, bigger marketing, I suppose, efforts, and so on and so forth. Now, that's not my idea of success. Again, it's not what I want to achieve, but it's what they want to achieve. So essentially what I'm trying to say is the first thing you need to do is decide what is your version of success. And don't necessarily look at what everyone else is doing and think, well, I have to have them, I have to do what they do. Or what I commonly see is people come along and they see this other clinic that's a certain size, that's bigger than theirs, and they feel, well, I should try and emulate them and get to that space. Or maybe they're even intimidated when they see other people with bigger businesses. Now, in many cases, the bigger business you see down the road is actually not profitable at all, and the owner would give it away. But first, figure out what it is you want. What's your version of success going to be? Now, when I talk about your version of success, I talk about your life first. So, and then your business will build around it. So it is possible to choose what you'd like to have. How many hours do you want to work? What kind of income would you like to have? What types of treatment would you like your clinic to be doing? Where do you want that clinic to be? Where do you want to live? And so on. Once you've kind of figured this out, and this is also something I do with my clients, we help them to do this, is you then build a business that delivers that. So you decide the business model that's going to help you to deliver that. Whereas in fact, what we tend to do is we tend to start a business, start a clinic. We don't really have any business model idea other than we're going to open a clinic and treat whatever walks in the door. And then after a few years, we realize that this business is dictating the life that we want to live. And the version of life that you're living may or may not be the successful version of life that you wanted, and it's been hoisted upon you. And it is possible, like I said, to change this. It absolutely is. So how do you actually achieve this? What do you actually need to do? So first thing is, like I said, is you need to know what success looks like for you. Not what you think it should look like, but what it looks like for you. Now, if you have a partner, you're married, etc., you should probably have a chat with them, and they will help you with this. Step two is you need to have a plan of how you get from where you are to where you want to be. So with my coaching clients, we do this in two ways. The first is we have a 3-year goal, and we try and make it as personal as they can. So I want to make this much money. This is the kind of hours I want to do. I'd like to be living in here, etc., etc. Okay? Sometimes it's I want to sell my clinic in 3 years. Then, and it's more of a vague, grandiose idea. Then the second part then is the plan is we have a 12-month plan. So what are we trying to achieve over the next 12 months? Because we need a short-term plan, and then we need a longer-term goal that we're going to get to. Then what we do is we look at what are the steps that we're going to follow over the next 12 months to get us from where we are to where we need to be in 12 months. Now, when you have these overall steps or these overall phases, what you don't want to have is too many, okay? Because if you have too many, it just becomes too long of a list and overwhelming. So what are the big key parts that you need to work on? Maybe 5, 6 things that if you got implemented in this 12 months, it would move the needle a lot. So what are the big steps or phases you need to go through? And again, we have this all mapped out for our clients who come along and are not really sure. So we literally have a step-by-step map. This is where you're going to go. And each particular phase or step needs to be broken down into more digestible pieces, because what you're doing essentially is you're trying to eat an elephant to go from where you are to where you want to be over a year, 2 years, whatever it is. And how you eat an elephant is one single little bite at a time. So if we've got digestible pieces, what we do then is we just focus on those digestible pieces, and we just implement that piece next. We don't think about piece 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We just do the next piece. And you need to have somebody to hold you to account, because if you don't have someone to hold you to account, then you're not likely to implement. So it's like the client or patient who comes into you and you give them exercises to do and you tell them to come back in 14 days. Usually what will happen is they won't start the exercise until day 12. And why? Because they know that their homework is due and they've got to come in. So what we do as part of our service is we provide accountability for our for our clients. We hold them to account, but we make it easy as we can so that it's not overwhelming. Because the last thing you need is, you're a busy clinic owner, is to have more work to be doing. Now, key to this is that you set time aside to work on the business rather than just in the business. So this comes back to another podcast we did, which is called Current Bank and Future Bank. So current bank would be, I'm going to treat patients for an hour and I'm going to make X number of dollars, pounds, whatever in that hour. And what we want you to do instead is we want you to spend time working on the business rather than in the business. So maybe instead of using that hour to treat patients, you're going to use that hour to work on these pieces of the puzzle that you're working for, this plan. Now, the argument that will often happen is, if I don't treat patients, I'm going to lose X number of, let's say it's $100 for the hour. But what I would say to you is, if you work on these pieces of the puzzle every week, bit by bit by bit, what will happen is you will actually make multiples of what you would have made treating patients by building a business that provides you with the life and the financial freedom that you're looking for. Now, key to this is that you only work on what we call your next right thing. So because you have a plan, what I would recommend you do is you plan out maybe what am I going to have done in the next 6 weeks, and usually it's just 2, maybe 3 things, big things that are going to move the needle. And you pick which one you're going to do first, because you can't do them all at the same time. That's called your next right thing, and you break that down into piece by piece. What am I going to do? What are the steps I need to do within that? So we're making everything smaller, easier, and more digestible, so that we can get to, we can make that steady progress to allow us to go from where we are to where we want to be, to what we look on as our version of success. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I am not where I want to be in my business and in my life, first thing is think about where you want to be, and then figure out what are you going to do step by step to get yourself there. And just do one little piece at a time, and you will find steady progress will make far more difference than trying to make huge leaps and bounds in one go, because that's not something that's sustainable. Now, this is something we help our clients with in our programs. We hold their hands, we give them the steps, we give them the plans, everything. We give them, we hold them accountable, and we give them all our swipe files. If this is something you're interested in, well then reach out to us. There's a few options for you. If you're interested in our marketing service, go to podiatrypatientsontap.com. If you're interested in our coaching service, go to morepracticeprofits.com. But likewise, feel free to have a look at our other YouTube videos, our podcasts. All of these are free, and you can also get a copy of our 2 books from Amazon if you want a physical copy, Podiatry Business Success Secrets, and we also have our newer book, Podiatry Patients on Tap, both available on Amazon, or you can get a free digital version off the websites. So until next time, this is Lorcan O Donaile from Podiatry Patients on Tap, Podiatry Business Mentor, etc., signing out.